Good evening. This is Josh Castle, the Dungeon Master. Welcome to our game as we adventure into the land of Mallarend, or the normal races of D&D if not tread for generations. A place of mysterious origin, inhabited by a beast folk, who are as varied and numerous as the animals they resemble. This story is about a group of these people. We join them as they find their path in the chaos of war, as predators collide for survival and conquest. Will our heroes become another meal or casualties of war, or will they answer the call of the Beastlands? Remember to follow us on social media and Discord, as well as YouTube. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
Okay, so my first question, I guess, is going to be Mahler's End. You described it as a place you took out of another world, so describe more about that.
Okay, so the idea is that I want to do anthropomorphic animals and be in a somewhat original setting that still has grounding in D&D origins. So the Happy Hunting Grounds, or the Beastlands, is something that not very many people had gone into in the old editions. So essentially, my writing is that some great forces, people, and even gods combined energies to tear free a piece of the first layer of the Beastlands and transport it to the Primaterial Plane, form it into a world of its own, including many of the creatures there. Originally, in the Beastlands, it's sentient animals, but something, which I don't want to give away too many spoilers, occurred during that time that caused all of the normal races of peoples that you would see in D&D, including like humans and elves and dwarves, and normal humanoids, to get wiped free of the map. All their civilizations destroyed, and over the ages replaced by evolved forms of the animals with mysterious origins.
Okay, so didn't you call it Terra? No, the place you were saying earlier that I could not pronounce. Terramorphia?
Um,
Is it a part of that universe, or essentially I'm trying to figure out which
oh, the
universe is.
Primaterial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the Primaterial Plane, not actually on the Beastlands plane, which is like a celestial plane where some gods like to live, nature gods and deities and stuff like that. Um, Should have been torn free of their control.
Does D&D have any gods that we like? Are they similar to ours? Like
Some of them,
what
a
I
lot of
know
it
of?
is grounded in reality, including some of the Norse gods and some of the other pantheons as well. Like Tyr is a D&D god, but he's, the Norse god of justice uh, and law, order, stuff like that.
Okay. So
But, I mean, a lot of them are original as well, like the nature gods, Melora, Maliki, and some of the other things. But, I mean, a lot of the inspiration is just all over the place. Uh, I like to do my own thing, but I also draw inspiration from many, many sources.
mhm.
The Beast Lords are a feature in the game that we're running. They're like demigods almost. When one dies, it inhabits the body of another of the race that is the lord of, and their role is to intercede on the beast animals or the beast people on behalf of, or to the gods on behalf of those people.
Hmm.
If that makes sense. So like the
They're almost like
Lord
clerics.
of, or I mean the Lady of Birds, the Queen of Birds. She has her palace here on the planet, and her role is to not only be the ruler of those people and animals, but to petition on their behalf to the greater gods of the Primaterial.
Okay. So I do have a lot of questions about Polly's character because I don't know what artificers, artificers,
Artificers.
artificers can do, and she keeps talking about my brain.
Oh, so she's an interesting person. And she thrives when she's making people uncomfortable. It's great. But like mostly it's mechanical and magic tinkering, so it's like most of the features are making magical items.
Yeah, like her.
And before you chose your character of a mantis, she had already chose Polly, the Badger Folk artificer, and had art drawn up. And in that art was a mantis, uh, yeah, steel defender. So like when I told her that you were going to be a mantis, she took it upon herself to be like, all right, I'm going to study this guy, make him feel super uncomfortable, and I'm going to make my mantis look exactly like him in every way.
Actually, I saw that. The one with the little nurse's hat?
Yeah, that's the only real difference, and that it's made of metal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lesk, our goat man. What is he playing as? Like, he's obviously a warrior, but...
He's actually a cleric.
Oh, so I was right.
He is a cleric of Thor.
Okay.
Which, yeah.
Is that what's up with his flying hammer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the holy symbol of Thor is the hammer and lightning, so obviously that's his primary weapon. But he was thinking about what character to make, and he was like, I was thinking about making a cleric, but I just wanted to be turned into a heal bot, and I'm like, well, don't be then. Be a cleric, and don't take any healing spells, and don't let him turn you into a heal bot, man. Make a badass war cleric. It's like, you be you. So he came out with Lesk, this powerhouse of the cleric, even at low levels.
I'm glad you decided to keep playing as him, because I was interested. I was especially like you did so much goddamn damage. Like, why would you? Why did you have to die?
I rolled. I don't fudge my rolls. Some DMs fudge their rolls to make the story more interesting. I'm pretty hardcore about crits and stuff. So, like, I wasn't gonna pull punches, but you guys did really well, regardless of how many 20s that I rolled in a row. You know.
That was your view of good. My God.
I mean, listen, I should have missed way more. The random number generator was not in your favor. It happens.
Yeah. Couple of games in a row now.
You
have way too good of a look for.
I'm looking for a comeback from you guys.
Yeah.
The thing is, I roll more dice than anyone at the table because I roll for multiple creatures and personalities.
All right. Okay. My next question is about Ursa, or what? I don't know what else to call it now that they called it Ursa. But
Ursia or Ursina, which is what I had originally been calling it. It's the Kingdom of the Bears. Now, the Bear King is actually a Fey Lord. It's grounded in reality. We're talking European mythology. Can't remember his name off the top of my head because he hasn't actually come up in game. But that's the nation of the Bear Folk, and they're militarized and united under his rule, and but generally good people. You know, they have plenty of imports and exports, and they're at the front line of the war with Toscul. Yeah, they build their walls and set up their siege engines and try and keep the killer wasps at bay.
So that actually answered my question. Are we going to finally be able to go to a store?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but the things that you can get might be a little limited.
Yeah.
It's a little bit lower tech than the Forgotten Realms. I mean, I say tech, but there are less people making magical items.
I'm a monk. I just want healing potions.
That's probably more reasonable than some other stuff.
That's what I want. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Well, as I level up, that's all I'll need. Healing potions, but at least I finally got a healing spell, even though
I mean, it's...
Can I use that on other people, by the way?
What?
My new healing spell. You know? I need to look into it.
Yeah, you should look into it.
Yeah, because I cost two
key points?
2 key points plus, and then I get to roll my martial art die to heal for that many points, but I can't remember if it was specific for me.
One of them newfangled classes from that there Tosh is called an air thing.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
Man, are there a bunch of Tosculi hives in our, or that we're gonna, or is there just one main one?
No, there are multiples. The Hivelands is pretty big, and it consists of more than just them. Obviously, there's, other insectoid peoples, but it's kind of like predatory nature. It's generally understood that if you're a sentient being, that you're not going around eating other sentient beings. But the Tasculi don't care about that. So,
Are there giant ants?
yeah, there are giant ants.
Oh.
There's also people.
I might need to learn some beast training.
Yeah, in the previous campaign, before we started recording, that was one of the early level encounters, was an ant nest, giant ant nest. And, like, one of the characters could talk to animals. That was the thing. I can talk to all these. So I was like, that was Shay, playing a catfolk named Salem. And she went in and started talking to these ants, and at first they're freaking out, like, oh my god, the food's talking! Ah! And she demanded a meeting with the queen and bargained sweet foods and sugars for assistance and a supply of eggs.
I want an Antony.
An Antony? Yeah. They called, they had one that was wounded, so it went with them instead of, just dying in the colony. And he was missing a leg, and they called it Lieutenant Dan.
Speaking of which, I forgot. Is Bowser going with us, or is he just staying in Noob's Luck? Because everybody else is leaving.
He was assigned to Noob's Luck as protector of the people, so he's probably going to be moving with them until he gets a new posting. Buddy's Rangers is a faction in the game, and they're dogfolk rangers that are generally good boys. And they're going around helping the free peoples that can't defend themselves, whether that be like hunting for food, foraging, or hunting monsters, whatever that case may be.
Whatever needed at that time.
Yeah, and he was there helping them out with whatever he could when the heroes answered the call for help. So.
Okay. That sounds fun. Buddy's Rangers.
Yeah, Buddy's a golden retriever.
Yeah.
So.
Damn it, so it's Airbud. Damn it. I don't know that much about the world, honestly.
Well, I mean, I'm deliberately vague when we're playing the game, because the more you know... I don't know, the meta's weird, because there's not like a news program, or even like someone going around shouting in the Beastlands. They don't really talk about what's going on in other parts of the world. So there's like some general knowledge, but for the most part, everyone's in the dark just trying to figure out what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
Which is a unique situation for our heroes, the party, because you're actually from different parts of the world in your backstories.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to, you could sit down and be like, all right, really, what's going on? Where you came from? What is going on? So far, it hasn't happened,
Mm-hmm.
but like everyone in the party has a unique backstory. I mean, yours is actually the least detailed because you're a new player. I didn't want to force too much on you besides being a hermit, Although there is some stuff there that hasn't come up.
Yeah.
Like,
you told me about Tasculi being in the area. That's why I don't know what I should know as him. That's what I'm like.
Yeah.
I know what I know, but I don't know what he should know.
Yeah, that's the line we walk as players, and that right there is why I don't really bring up the details of the unknown too much, because like even as you're trying to separate that, I'm a stoner. I don't know how to complete that sentence.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just the more. Well, yeah, I guess the more you know about like all the beasts, all the characters, like all the things you can play as, I should say, all the NPC, all the world.
I mean,
the harder it is to separate your knowledge from your character knowledge.
I mean, there's common knowledge things like the natural residents of your world.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a mixture of regular animals, animal folk, and giant animals. And there's the same with plants, except there isn't plant people. There's plants that eat people, the carnivorous plants and stuff such. And giants. You get like giant trees. You think redwoods are big, but then you see a giant redwood and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I was like, you know what a rock is? Like the Greek mythology rock, giant eagle.
Yeah.
Huge, carries away elephants.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like sitting on a tree that looks like a normal tree because it's a giant tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like a tree that in our world would probably have to have lived for like 2,000 years to even get close to that big.
Isn't it like Yalmir or something, the Tree of Life?
No, that Mjolnir was the hammer.
Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil. I knew it was a Y name.
The world tree, the tree of life. Yeah, that's still a thing in D&D.
Okay.
The world tree has branches that go through many planes, including the Beastlands.
That only confuses me because of what you said earlier about all the planes. Is like, how?
Yeah, it's a tree that grows between planes. It is magic, my friend. It is not science. It's like in the old cosmology model, which means, the map of the multiverse, it was literally the whole thing was just parts of the tree. And the roots were the bottom, the lower planes, and the branches were the higher planes, and the prime material was like in the middle in its own thing. But even then, it's layered because then that's just the outer planes. Then you have the inner planes, which are elemental. That's a whole nother story. It's a very confusing and labyrinthine worlds that you stepped into, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, not to plug someone else's work, but watch some Mr. Rex. He talks about the planes in a lot of his videos, and it might make a little bit more sense.
Is that the guy I was talking about that does all the...
Yeah, he's one. Yeah, he does a lot of D&D stuff, and he's really good.
What they didn't tell you about the water plane.
Yeah.
I keep seeing it. I don't know if that's him, but I keep seeing it on YouTube.
No, it is. I can't think of anyone else that does it. So,
yeah.
I mean, not like that.
Yeah. So I'm still interested in what the hell mega damage and stuff from when Micah was talking to me about D&D.
That was Rifts.
Oh.
That was a different game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I also play.
I thought 5e was like crazy, but it seems
given enough time, we may transfer into Rifts with characters from D&D, which would be interesting. But like, imagine playing D&D and like riding your horse or giant bug or whatever, and got your magic sword, and then a fucking portal opens up in front of you, and a bunch of guys in hazmat suits come out with radiation guns, so like scanning, and then they see you and they're like, "Get him!" and they kidnap you, and they have laser guns and shit, and they pull you through the portal, and there's spaceships everywhere, giant robots.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Rifts.
Yeah, I kind of remember him talking about it being like D&D in space.
Yeah, it's its own system. It's compatible with damn near anything because they made it complicated enough to be compatible with damn near anything.
Like D&D, pretty much built.
Yeah, everything can be translated into it.
Like the Johnny Bravo bard.
Yeah, I made a Johnny Bravo monk. Yeah, he was King Frank, and his personality was just like, "Hey, baby," you know what I mean?
How is he a monk?
I mean, Johnny Bravo? He was all about trying to be a black belt and shit. He was just bad at it in the cartoon.
Well, no, I mean, the monk going around going, "Hey, baby."
Oh, I mean, you can distinguish between, like, real-world monks that are pacifists and live in the mountains and practice martial arts for self-defense, and the fantasy monks, which train their bodies and minds to become the perfect weapon to fight evil.
Okay.
Or whatever it is your goal is as a monastery, it really varies. Like, you as an insect person, what do you think these people are actually training you to do? Just to survive in this fucking giant jungle. To hunt and defend your people, keep the mothers safe,
protect the brood,
fight the Tosculi whenever they raid. You know what I mean? You're not being taught to be one with the universe here. There's actual evil rampaging across the land trying to eat you.
Right.
So, Like that's the line we draw between reality and fantasy, is because they don't have quite the same outlook. They're not as unwilling to take a life because that shit is violent all over the world in these settings.
Well, yeah. Well, especially thinking of it like the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, it's a lot more civilized than Faerun and Forgotten Realms, where there's walled cities and kings and knights and shit running around trying to protect people, and like adventurers guilds and like all these heroic people around. Like, you're lucky to find someone who has a sharpened stick nearby in the Beastlands.
Yeah. Just Tuscaloosa were sons of bitches.
Yeah, that's the Kobold Press monsters. They do way better at balancing the CR, the challenge rating of monsters, than the monster manual from the Wizards of the Coast does.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a common joke that, how does the CR rating work? Haha, it doesn't. But those guys at Kobold Press, they really nail it, man. Their monsters have more hit points per CR, they do more damage per CR, and they're actually a challenge when you fight them, unless you're being tactical or have an advantage of some kind.
Yeah.
So
just have a really well distributed party or something.
And like I may have mentioned it, I am kind of a hardcore mindset when it comes to being a GM. Like, I don't pull that many punches. I envision a scenario that would happen in the world, and you have to fit yourself in there somehow. It's like I didn't craft it specifically for you to kill these guys. You can do that,
but it can be a happy little accident.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could get it done however you want, but I'm not going to be like, yeah, there's 2 inept goblin guards at the gate and a barrel of explosives next to them. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
I don't craft those easy encounters like that.
Okay. If we leave when they want to leave Noob's Luck and they want to come back later. My big question is in the game, if we leave and we come back and we go back down into the dungeon, are the characters the same level that they would be, or do they increase level with us?
Oh, the enemies?
Yeah, if we go back to Noob's Luck after, like, say we go to Ursa or whatever, the Bear Kingdom, and we get to level 6 or 7, and then we go back to Noob's Luck and we go down into the catacombs. Are they going to be the same level as if we go fight them now and then?
I mean, the answer is yes and no, because there is a set amount of stuff that is living underneath Noob's Luck, right? How much of that you'll encounter at once depends on your level. Now, I don't want to give away too much in that way, like spoilers and such. But, like, I'm not actively trying to kill you. There are some things out there in my games that you're just not meant to fight until you're ready.
Yeah. The fucking Wyvern or fucking Cave Dragon.
Yeah, Cave Dragon.
19 damage in one breath.
I may have mentioned...
Want to scatter? Yeah, let's scatter.
I may have mentioned that was a baby.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
like, ergo, babies come from parents, generally.
Generally.
Right? Obviously, you don't know the dynamics of these creatures and how they treat their young, but,
Yeah. Some of the freaking animals in D&D, I don't know, that just rebirths itself every time somebody kills it.
Phoenix?
No, like a Taraz. Or like, if anybody ever killed it, it would just rebirth.
It doesn't die, per se. You put it to sleep.
Yeah. Essentially.
I mean...
yeah.
Tarrasques are jokes, man. You have to
You're
really,
never gonna get one.
You have to really be like doing something very specific in order to put a Tarrasque into your game, like a one shot that you want to see if your level 20 party that they just made with no backstory can take on just raw.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're angry because you got a bad cast of people in your game and you want them all to die. Like, I don't know.
I know you've been working so hard to get to level 15, but...
Trask! Yeah, that's a joke among the DMs of the world. The players were talking shit. Drop a Trask on them. I don't know. Yeah.
I should remember.
If there's anything that fucking terrible that is going to be in my games, it's probably going to be more custom built. Something that is either produced freeware from the great hive minds of D&D on the internet, or something that I made myself, or possibly something from Pulp Fiction, like Geiger, or um, you know, popular horror shit. What's the I feel like such a uncultured swine here, but oh man, that's that horror author that did the shout-outs and shit.
Shout-outs? What?
Yeah. Oh, it's Cthulhu.
Oh.
Duh.
Freaking, I was just listening to a bunch of his books too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was a good author, but like, my point is, it won't be something that, you know, it would be standard for your knight trying to save the princess type of D&D party.
The color from space.
Yeah. I feel like stuff like that has been too done. And I don't even have an overlying campaign, per se, outlined. It's a sandbox game. I have, like, things that are going on in the world and how people interact, but I'm not going to render things until I get a decision from the party that they're doing something, or something's happening to you because you're in a place, or doing a thing, or did a thing.
Looked around too much, so
Right, I mean, the point is, it's not like, you know, the world's gonna end in 12 days unless you fix it or something. It's like, a lot of shit's going on around you. What you choose to do about it and the impact you make is what I'm interested in.
So, how much is there a map for the bear place already planned out, or is it just imagination?
Right now, I haven't rendered anything for, the Bear Kingdom. Like, I could do some castles, like a town or something, but I feel like it wouldn't be completely necessary for a somewhat peaceful kingdom unless I have an encounter planned, in which case it's none of your fucking business, Jake. Well, like, I mean to put more time into making maps, and I have a bunch that I've already used, and I don't generally reuse them, but I have them archived in Roll20.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I put aside a couple hours this week to make a map or two, you know, and be like populated with stuff and be like, all right, well, make my world, you know?
Yeah. So wait, what kind of monk is Alagos gonna be then?
Alagos is not a monk.
He's not a monk?
He's a fighter.
I thought he was from the fucking. He said he was from what monastery? Yeah,
It's
where?
I mean, you'd have to ask him. That's a
Yeah,
personal
that's the part
backstory
that's like-
thing. I'm not going to answer for one of my
Okay.
characters, but
Because that's really been confusing me.
yeah, you're gonna have to run that by him. But he's a fighter. If he was from a monastery, that doesn't mean he was a monk per se. He could have, you know, been there for other reasons. He said in fact, in the last episode, he was talking to Lesk, if you remember, talking about having a violent past and repentance, and
Okay. So, yeah, they're a lot more fleshed out than my first character. It's just like, yep, I'm from the woods, see me.
I was a hermit. I was raised by my mama.
Yeah. I'm just that backwoods. God damn it, I'm that hillbilly cockroach from fucking Men in Black.
Oh, yeah, kind of. I mean, you're more badass than that.
I'm a lot smaller though.
But you're not small.
I'm smaller than that thing was. That thing was fucking 20 feet tall. I'm 5'3" or some shit. I can't even remember.
Oh, that thing. Yeah. Give me sugar.
Sugar and water.
That's a Rift's enemy right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Well, I mean, in our world, it's just that could just honestly just be a giant cockroaches. Big cockroaches. I'm a giant mantis. Why wouldn't there be a giant cockroach right over there?
I mean, there are. I actually have. I mean, a lot of the races that I put in the world were put in there because a player made a character of that race.
Mm.
But some of them are not so. Like the Burrowlings, they're the Gopher people. Those were from the Kobold Press. Those were stat blocks that I found. The fucking I can't remember how to pronounce that. Echidnas or something like that. They're the hedgehog. Those are Kobold Press specials, and the Roachlings are the Kobold Press special. So they're, small-sized humanoid roaches that like to live in dungeons and crevices and such.
I think I've thought of an animal that nobody could make into a badass. Like, go ahead, try.
What?
Kiwi.
A kiwi? No. I actually found a cool one.
No.
Yeah. He was an Aarakocra. Yeah, it's the bird folk, right? But he was a kiwi, so he didn't have wings. Okay. Yeah. So, like, on one of the flying ships, he had a job to look at. Okay. He lost an eye. Right? He fell from the roost. He lost a leg. Right? So they're like, okay, you are actually useless. So he made a pact with dark powers and became a powerful warlock and pirate captain. So they gave him like shadow arms and devil's sight and this, that, and the other. They made it a pretty cool NPC. You might meet him one day. It was fan generated, I think. I didn't read the full story, but I like to collect stat blocks.
Now I'm just thinking of Captain Barbossa as a freaking kiwi.
Yeah. Right? But with magic.
He was a fucking zombie, yeah, he was magic.
More magic.
He could use magic, he just wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't just magic.
Yeah. Fuck. And he's got peg leg, and he actually had like a halfling with dwarfism as a friend, and he kept it on his shoulder like a parrot as a person.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Halfling with dwarfism.
Yeah, it was a midget halfling. It was real tiny.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. Fuck. Okay. How many like towns do you have fledged out for us to visit?
Oh, like that one?
No, I mean just like in the world.
Oh,
can we literally just make up a place and say, let's go to fucking Arborea, and you have to make something up on the fly?
I mean, yeah, I'm actually incredibly good at that. That's okay. My talent as being a sandbox type GM is taking what you guys want to do and rendering it on the fly. And like I'll have certain things that are constants, like anchors in the world, But then like I have to render quote unquote graphics around that as you progress and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like you go in a direction that's why I never liked modules, man. Which are the pre-written adventures, is because like I really just want to walk off the map. You know what I mean? I'd play Skyrim and this big ass map, shit tons of stuff to do, and I'm trying to climb the mountain at the edge of the map. Like we don't do walls here. You know what I mean? If you guys want to say fuck my adventure, feel free, by all means. It won't hurt my feelings anymore because I don't plan for you having to do anything. It's a term in the D&D community called railroading. So making you take a course of action.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's the fucking D&D stories you hear on YouTube all the time is the freaking modules. And gotta forget what they call it. The fucking meeting groups.
Meeting groups?
Like the big groups of people that meet every fucking Tuesday at a card shop and play.
Oh, like the official D&D league.
Yeah, that. Fucking whatever the hell they call that.
Yeah, I had considered doing that and seeing if I could jam some of that, but like again, I just have a problem running the modules. To me, they're like historical events of Faerun. To me, all that shit has already happened by the time I put characters in.
Yeah. Any future already predicted is already the past.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, very well put.
That's the quote.
We are looking towards the future.
Alan Watts said that.
Yeah.
I
That's like, and that's not, just because I generate things on the fly like that doesn't mean that we're not in a lore-rich world. There's tons of stuff that I just straight up refuse to talk about unless you find it in the game.
Mm. Okay.
You just got to be looking for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't know what you're looking for, which is great. I love it.
Well, it's
Dig for that lore. Ask the hard questions.
It's like the old video games where it was like you'd find a random piece of newspaper and it'd be like, you found one of 117 newspaper shreds. You're like, I was supposed to be looking for these?
I passed like a dozen.
Yeah, like what the fuck? I'm almost done with the game. What?
I mean, it's not like you'll get a reward. I mean, I'm not going to say that. But it's not like an achievement you unlock or something. These are things that you don't have to pick up to win the game. You know what I mean? Because there's no winning the game.
Yeah.
There's an end and there's a beginning, but it's not like Sorry where there's a winner. It's a story being told. There's an end when we decide there's an end, or when you die.
Okay.
Which even then, I have ADHD and I'm a dungeon master. The story still goes on in my head. Someone else will play it. You'll play it. We'll make a new party. It'll keep going.
I'm done with your characters die.
I won't do that. I promise. If you guys die, it'll be your fault.
Shouldn't have gone there.
I mean, you know, I leave plenty of warnings and common sense things. So.
Yeah, like fucking Dirk shooting the arrow at the cave dragon baby.
Yeah, while they were hiding.
Yeah, while we were hiding.
Well, those guys have a free pass.
Yeah, because that's what they're supposed to be like.
Yeah, they're playing their characters perfect.
Yeah, they are. But it's just like, son of a bitch. Why did I come with you again? Thought somebody needed to keep an eye on you, and this is what I get for it.
What you got to remember is you don't even know those guys really.
Yeah.
You've been around them for a couple weeks because you guys took the same job.
They've already caused all this shit just by touching a bone. I cannot just leave them be.
No, I mean, it wasn't touching the bone. It was breaking the bone.
Yeah. Well, it yelled at him when like a bunch of stuff happened when he picked it up, and then more happened when it broke. Is what I remember. So
when he picked it up, there was a breeze, and you guys were underground. There's no wind.
Yeah,
obviously.
exactly.
It was a clear warning, and then Alagos went to be like, "Hey, put it down, quit disrespecting the dead," and they fought over it.
And it broke.
And it broke.
Yeah, it's just I knew something happened, and then a lot worse happened.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were defenders. They're
playing their characters great, but they're like that guy in the horror movie that you're like, why are you doing this?
Don't go up the stairs. What are you doing?
That's just who their characters are. It's just like every time they go to do something, I'm like, do I need to follow you and make sure you don't break stuff?
I honestly love it, and be sure to speak out. Like, don't play your character in a template that isn't you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying play yourself, but like, you're not playing a stupid character. He's not going to make stupid decisions. He might be inexperienced, but he's not like, going to ignore people making bad decisions within his view.
He's not on the happening spoiler.
Right. You know what I mean? Feel free to speak up and say your piece. Don't try to control someone else's character, obviously, but say your piece.
Reflective grappling. You're not going anywhere. You leave that chest alone. You are mine.
Right. Don't touch.
I like that. I like that ability only because I can do it without hurting things, so I can just fucking grab stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I had a question after like having thought of that our last game for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
When he shot that arrow, could I technically have deflected missiles and snatched it out of the air before it even left?
Well, in most games, the arrow has to be aimed at you.
Yeah, and have to be able to hit you before you can respond.
Right.
Okay.
And when I have...
That's why I just wanted to know, like, could I have just gone, nope.
I mean, the way that I have it, if he tries to shoot, like, through your square, you know what I mean? Like, right over your head or under your armpit or whatever, that's close enough for you to try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if it's not in those specific circumstances, it has to be aimed at you.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering because that's one of those things I thought about afterwards, and it's like, can I just? That'd be fun. That'd be actually kind of cool.
That's a monk
No,
thing, you know.
stop.
But he was like perched in a tree above you, so
Yeah.
ultimately it was out of the situation.
It's just like those kinds of things that I wonder, like, can I do that? Can I just do that?
I mean, you can try to do
Yeah.
anything, Jacob. I'm not going to tell you no
Yeah.
in game to almost anything you try, unless it's about the action economy. And I'll be like, you used all your turns, or you used all your actions.
I'm interested in that. I'm gonna open my Roll20 and look at my ability because I want to know if I can use it at other people. Because if I can heal other people, that would be just swell.
Oh, that ability, the way to astral self.
Yeah. Because well, I've been dying. I have been dying a lot. Well, I'm not dying. I have been getting knocked out a lot.
Yeah, you have been the unfortunate recipient of a lot of my crits.
Yeah. So it's like I can heal. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Let's do all of that. But if I can heal other people, even fucking better. So what about that steel defender? Like, what all can that thing? Is it? You said you can give it independent action, so like you can literally just play it as another character, essentially.
No, it's actually has specific rules that it has to follow, and it doesn't get to act on its own, except for the dodge action, unless it's told to. The only exception to that is when its character goes unconscious, it's allowed to act on its own in whatever way it sees fit, usually to defend its maker.
Okay.
But I mean, it gets to do a lot more stuff as it levels up. It gets better damage, and its owner can cast spells through it, touch spells.
It very specifically says you regain a number of hit points equal to the number of rolled plus your proficiency bonus. What about
answer a lot of questions.
Beast Lords? Like, what does that even? So those are like I don't want to say gods.
They're like
Mauler and
Fae. They're kind of like greater Fae.
Okay.
And what it is like,
good way.
Some of them are different than others, but most of them are positions where they just are in charge of their type of animal. So like the Bat Lord from the Kobold Press, he's in charge of the bats, the werebats, and the bat folk, right? And like he fights, it's this depending on their alignment too. There's evils like I talk about, you know, that try to influence everything. There's demon lords and such, and like their creatures will be corrupted by some of these evils, and they're actively fighting that. So, like when these evils go to fight the lords and they win, right? The lord will die in his current body, and as long as there is a bat somewhere on that plane that is still alive, he won't die permanently. He'll come back as one of those bats, and that bat will be the new Bat King.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that covers most of the bat or the beast lords.
So like, I'm just like,
if someone were to manage to kill the Queen of Cats, like through a decisive assassination, a cat or a cat folk or someone will be given the option to be the host for the reincarnation of the Cat Queen. And they have the option to be like, no, I love my life, or they could be like, okay, this is the greater good, you know.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they gain, they pretty much lose their consciousness, and
that's it's like a sacrifice type of thing.
Yeah.
There's a vessel.
It'd be essentially sacrificing your own soul.
But it's for the greater good of the entire species, or number of species.
But then does that, do they have like special abilities?
Oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, okay, so that, and
they're not
that physical
weaklings.
being just,
yeah.
Okay.
They're like, that's why I said they're kind of like demigods. They don't have godhood status. They're not omnipotent or
Hmm.
omni-aware
Well,
or
and they
even
don't
have like,
even necessarily need to gain a physically strong host. They could just be magically
right.
strong. And
Generally, they have a number of supernatural abilities related to their racial creed and their status in the hierarchy of things. Like the Lion King. Yeah, I know, right? No, the Lion King is a real thing in D&D. I can't quite remember his name. Starts with an N. This guy's an actual god in Faerun. So in the Beastlands, he has his presence, but he's not nearly as powerful as he is in the other worlds because gods have different powers depending on where they are in the multiverse.
huh.
Yeah.
So wait, would that mean like different planes or just different areas of the same plane?
Well, in D&D worlds, because gods are powered by their followers. If you have so many followers, you become a greater version of a god. There's like lower, intermediate, and greater gods, and then even greater, smaller increments. But like if a god travels to a new world, he has to build up his following there in order to gain as much power as he would in a world where everyone worships him.
Hmm.
They're called interloper gods when they travel to a new plane, or not a new plane, but a new world.
Interloper?
Interloper.
Interloper, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like what it used to be was all of these worlds were flat worlds, like disk worlds, and they would be encased in what they called crystal spheres. And
Flat Earth theory.
yeah, and right. And to escape a crystal sphere, you need a flying ship, and like there are a couple other things. And once you go through it, like the gods didn't even have any power outside of the spheres. So when you're traveling in between worlds, there's no cleric spells or anything. They can't intercede. They only have power, or they have followers.
Okay. So if you go to a world that doesn't have any followers of your god, does that mean that you being a follower gives them power there?
It absolutely does.
Okay.
But like that's not to mean that they're not powerless on their own, because they can take physical form as their avatars, which gods of different powers will have multiple avatars sometimes, and they can physically go places and be their full power, or well, a fraction of their full power in their avatar state, and then get it done that way and gain their followers that way. But like they're restricted in that too. The greater overgods, like me, won't just allow rampaging gods to destroy everything.
Yeah. Well, like me.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the Forgotten Realms is AO. He basically puts all the other gods in their place when they get too uppity. He's got the greater scheme, and he doesn't directly deal with any mortals in any way, even when they pray to him. He doesn't get his power from them. He's the creator of all. He's like the omnipotent Christian god,
Yeah.
where he actually created everything. And that's supposed to be the DM. It's an allegory for the creator. Or
Xanth.
Yeah, Xanth. Yeah, that was a good book series.
No. I'm using this as an example because Xanth was actually the demon that was stuck underneath the earth that they had encapsulated in the planet the planet was actually a tomb to him.
Oh,
okay. So they had encapsulated him in there, and people were just a result of the magic seeping to the surface of the planet from
raw chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So essentially, could I relate AO to him? Essentially, all this magic just spurs because of his existence, or
no, he actually straight up made it all painstakingly.
Okay.
And it's not just a random byproduct.
It's even more like
he's the man with a plan, and no one understands it.
Yeah.
Even the other gods are like, what in the hell is Dad doing? And like Tyr, I talked about Tyr from the Norse pantheon, being a Forgotten Realms god. He was a little bit too opinionated in front of Dad, and AO plucked out his eyes. From then on, he was known as the maimed god in Forgotten Realms, whereas in other settings, he was still, this badass fighter god.
You know, and the more that I think about it, like, it would be kind of fun to run a campaign through the world of Xanth.
Yeah,
Like
puns.
centipedes and
It
nickelpedes.
would be pretty hilarious to
Yeah,
say the least.
that would be the funnest. That would be pretty fun.
But getting permissions for that might be a little difficult. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know that guy's still alive, right?
I mean, yeah, we could just write him or whatever.
Right. I can't believe it. Like
I
he
mean, I
started
didn't
writing
know
the
that
book
was
series back in the 70s.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like Jesus Christ, you're wait, there's a new one?
Isn't?
Yes, he's still writing it,
Well,
Castle.
that's like Ari Salvador, the writer of all my old favorite D&D books.
I can't believe it.
He's still
doing
playing D&D every Saturday.
What?
Uh,
Wasn't that like back in the 70s or earlier?
I mean, no, he started writing in the early 90s.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Wrote your favorite D&D books?
books, as in novels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some of the most famous characters in D&D history.
They have D&D
Like,
books.
I mean, he's a novelist, and
Yeah.
he chose to write his books in the D&D world. Kind of like what we do.
That's
You know what I
interesting.
mean? We're creating using D&D as a medium.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay, that's
Like
interesting.
the Dark Elf with the Panther, Triss Jordan. Never heard of him? No. He's probably the most famous character in D&D history.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha.
I believe you.
I mean, they just launched a new game called, I mean,
I
it's
thought the dragon was the most important character.
D&D Dark Alliance, the new, I mean, there's so many dragons. But they just launched a new video game, a D&D video game called Dark Alliance. It's like, there was an old Dark Alliance, there's a new Dark Alliance.
I've heard
And
of
it's
that.
straight up these 4 characters from Salvador's work.
Okay.
And those are the book series that I'm talking about. It's like so famous that it's borderline mainstream.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't not know that was a thing.
Yeah.
So wait, now I gotta ask: are they turning his books into games, or are they making games based on the D&D world using his characters?
No, I mean
It's a complicated question.
he does writing for them now as well.
Okay.
Like Neverwinter, which is the MMO D&D,
Yeah.
right? Free to download and all that stuff.
Hmm.
There's straight up missions and chapters and even like full campaigns in that game written by him with his characters in it and everything. So
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know. I knew there was. I knew that people were into it, but Jesus, I didn't know. I didn't know there
it's
was like
huge.
that
I
kind of
mean,
stuff going on.
it's always been lore rich beyond really imagining.
Yeah.
But now, because of like Critical Role and some other things that are affecting popular media, it's just becoming more mainstream, and people are dumping more and more money into it, and it's really taking off. So I'd be a fool not to try to take advantage of the thing that I love doing. At this point, since everyone else is.
Yeah.
Well, it's still early-ish.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to listen to a couple episodes of fucking Critical Role or something and see what that's all about. Cause
Those guys are pretty cool. I'm not quite current with their new campaign, but
so they were playing campaigns. I thought they were just like talking D&D.
no. That's an actual game, and that's
Okay.
Matthew Murphy. You would recognize him from different video games. They're all voice actors. It's a team of friends from childhood and professional voice actors that are playing Matthew Mercer's campaign. And he got so damn famous because of all that, because he's a damn good DM. And they're really good players and voice actors.
And they're great, like voice actors. They change who they are all the time.
Yeah,
It's fucking amazing.
yeah. And like I'm telling you, you would recognize some of these voices once they do their voices. But like he got so famous that like his homebrew stuff that he makes has become canon for D&D, accepted by Wizards of the Coast as raw material. He produced his own books, campaign settings that are accepted as canon for D&D. And they started off just making a podcast, YouTube videos just like this.
Okay.
But I mean, their quality of equipment and everything is leagues ahead of anything that we could realistically produce at this point.
Well, They started just like that too, I'm sure.
I mean, the first episode I saw, they had a fucking dungeon room with a round table, and they're really well taken care of. They dumped some good money into that.
Yeah.
I think it was Matt's basement, probably. But they upgraded to like a studio and shit, so.
Yeah. Get Tim Pool to let us use one of the rooms in the cast castle.
They got like real sponsors. The D&D Beyond, which is a service, character sheets and books so you can buy size digital.
Okay.
Like they're a like partner sponsor with them. They sponsor every episode.
Yeah, see, if we could get a sponsor,
I mean, it's cool. Calvin's got us, right? Right, Calvin?
Which one? I'm sorry, brother, man, we don't use their names enough. I don't know which one Calvin is. Who's Calvin?
Calvin's Dirk.
Dirk. All right.
All right. He's our main artist.
Yeah.
Second, yeah. Him and Chris Alagos.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't Alagos the one that was drawing things?
He did. He just completed our logo.
Yeah.
But all of our character art and a lot of the stuff came from Calvin.
Okay. Huh.
Or Mr. There, which is his call sign, his main comic that he likes to do. Although he's been working on other stuff recently.
Huh. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's on Webtoons.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't even heard that. What's Webtoons?
Webtoons is a comic service.
Yeah. Just post your comic strip thing.
Which it's an app. There's an app for it.
Yeah.
I just read a bunch of comics on there, and that's actually where I met him. I found his comic Upgrade was being featured one day. I just happened to see it, and I started reading through it. And it's a comic about upgrading the comic. It's a fancy comic, but like he started off as a blob. I was like, okay, would you guys like to add eyes? You have so many skill points. Go ahead and vote on where you want to dump them. We had to make the person, and then the person, start upgrading his stats and whatnot. So it's interesting, and it's turned into a pretty cool little comic.
Huh.
And it's interlaced with his other comics.
Okay.
Mr. There and From the Silence in ways.
I'll have to see. I'm gonna check it out. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never even
I follow his stuff. I think it's cool. Yeah. But anyway, that's how I met him. I started commenting on all the shit, and I was like, yeah, pretty cool. I like kind of like my D&D games. It's like, what? Give me an invite.
Hell yeah. So, is that how you got the East Coasters?
Yeah.
Okay. I was kind of wondering how you had it, but you play with two people from the East Coast.
Three.
Three?
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know where Chris is, but Ethan and Calvin are on the East Coast. I think they're on the same time zone. So.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I don't pry into their personal lives.
Yeah. Where you live?
What's your address?
Yeah.
Follow us on all major social media, Discord, Twitch, and as always, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again next week.